These delicious cupcakes are our current favorite strawberry dessert from scratch. They are super easy to make and are bursting with bright, fresh strawberry flavor. You'll see that they are perfect for all of your summer celebrations. And the best part is they have a beautiful pink color and contain no preservatives, additives, or food coloring. You are going to love these. Hi everybody, welcome back to Two Peas in a Kitchen. Today we are going to make these absolutely beautiful and very delicious strawberry cupcakes just in time for summer. We're going to magically turn fresh strawberries into a beautiful, very moist, delicious strawberry cupcake with a delicious cream cheese strawberry frosting. So the first thing that you're going to do, and you can actually do this the day in advance before you're making the strawberries, or you can do it just a little bit earlier in the day, is we're going to make a strawberry puree reduction. And the way that you do that is you're going to take a regular old clamshell of strawberries here. This is a pound of strawberries. This is the way it's going to end up looking at the end. And you're going to take about a half pound of strawberries, which is approximately half of what's in a normal pound size clamshell here. And you're gonna cut the stems off, hull them, and you're going to put them into a food processor and puree them. If you don't have a food processor, you can totally do it in a blender, so don't worry. And you want it to look super creamy, like you can't see any chunks of the strawberries at all. And then you're gonna take about a half cup of that puree, and you're gonna put it on very low heat in a firm little stock pot on your stove, and you're going to reduce that until it looks like this, and it's going to equal about 1/4 cup of the puree. And the reason why we're going to start this recipe with making the puree is it's very important before you start making the cupcakes that the puree is completely cooled to room temperature. So if you decide to do this the day in advance and you're going to put it into the refrigerator, you're going to want to take it out of the refrigerator a couple hours before you're getting ready to make the cake so that it warms up to room temperature. And if you're making it the same day, just leave yourself enough time so that the puree is going to be at room temperature and not too hot when you're ready to bake. Now that we have our puree ready, we're going to get started with the rest of the recipe. Okay, we're ready to get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to incorporate our dry ingredients in a bowl, and then we're just going to push those off to the side while we work on the wet ingredients. So for our dry ingredients, the first thing that we're going to start with, this is 1 3/4 cups or 210 grams. This is cake flour. And you really do want to use cake flour. It's got a finer texture and it's going to work better in these cupcakes. I'm using the King Arthur cake flour here. The next thing that I'm going to do, this is 1 teaspoon of baking powder. This is about 5 grams. And the next thing that I'm going to add is 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, which is 2 grams. And then I have 1/4 teaspoon of salt, which is about 2 grams. So I'm just going to take a whisk and make sure all of those things are very nicely mixed together. And they can sit over to the side and have a party while we incorporate our wet ingredients. Okay, you do not need a countertop mixer to make this recipe, but we always think that it makes things just a little bit easier. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cream together our butter and our sugar. This is 1 stick or 8 tablespoons of butter. This is unsalted organic butter. And I also have here 1 cup of sugar or 200 grams. So I'm going to get that all into the bowl of the kitchen mixer, and I'm going to go ahead and attach that, and I'm going to beat it on very high speed until it's very creamy, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. So we've gone ahead and we've beat our butter and our sugar. You can see that the color is a little bit lighter and it's very creamy. And next we're going to add 3 egg whites. One thing that's very important that I didn't mention about the butter is all of these ingredients need to be at room temperature. It will help them incorporate better. So these egg whites are at room temperature. They're not cold right out of the refrigerator. We're going to go ahead and pour in our 3 egg whites, and then we're going to mix this on a high speed for approximately 2 minutes. And what you'll see is, because of the egg whites, it's going to get really nice and fluffy. Okay, so you can see that this mixture is now super light and fluffy. The egg whites did their thing. This is sour cream, and we have here a 1/4 cup or 60 grams of sour cream. Again, like I mentioned before, very important, this sour cream is at room temperature. We don't want to add in any really cold ingredients to our mixture here. And in addition, I'm now going to add in 1.5 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract, and that's about 6 grams. So we're going to incorporate those ingredients into our egg whites, butter, and sugar. And after I let that mix for a few minutes, I'm going to scrape everything off the sides just to make sure everything is getting mixed in before we continue to add in our dry ingredients, which is our next step. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add in our dry ingredients. This is the mixture that we put together at the beginning with our flour, baking soda, baking powder, and salt. And I'm just going to go ahead and pour that right in. And we're going to incorporate that slowly, of course, so it doesn't go all over the place. But you want to get this really well incorporated together. While that's mixing, you're going to slowly start to add in some milk. This, again, is also at room temperature. This is 1/3 of a cup or 80 milliliters of whole milk at room temperature. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of that at a time while this is mixing. So at this point, it's really important. You don't want to over mix this because we want the egg whites to stay nice and fluffy. It's going to add a lot of air and nice texture to our cupcakes. So the very last thing we're going to do here is we're going to very carefully incorporate our strawberry puree. So I'm going to go ahead and get that. I'm not going to leave anything left in this little dish here because this is really delicious. I'm actually really excited to see. I love to see what color the batter turns after we get this all in. All right, make sure you don't leave any in the dish. All right, we're going to go ahead and gently mix that in. Okay, seriously, this just smells like summer. It's so delicious. You can really, really smell the strawberries. That reduction is so potent. Okay, there's our beautiful batter. So we're gonna get everything off the sides. We're gonna give it one more mix. And get your oven preheated to 350 degrees while we are filling our cupcake tins. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that in just a minute. Okay, so our batter is ready. I have just a regular 12-cup cupcake tin. I have some parchment liners. You can use any cupcake liners that you like. Remember, the oven is preheated to 350 degrees. I'm just using a measuring, 1/3 cup measuring cup here, which is a little bit more than we're probably gonna need, but we're just gonna go ahead and fill each of these up just about 3/4 of the way, like that. And I'm gonna fill each of them up, and then they're gonna go into the preheated oven. I'll get right back to you after I have these filled up, and we're gonna talk about how long they cook and how you know they're done. Okay, so you can see our beautiful strawberry cupcake batter is pretty evenly distributed here in our 12 cupcakes. We're gonna pop this into our preheated at 350 degree oven for about 20 to 22 minutes, or until a toothpick that you put in the middle comes out clean. I'm gonna check these at about 18 minutes just to make sure they don't get overcooked. We always like to check our cakes and our cupcakes a couple minutes before we think they're gonna be done, just to make sure. And we'll get back to you when these come out of the oven so you can see what they look like. Okay, so our delicious strawberry cupcakes are out of the oven. They're ready. We put them on a wire rack to cool. They smell amazing. We're gonna let them cool all the way before we frost them. We're gonna show you in just a minute how to make the incredible frosting that we're gonna use. But one thing that we did wanna mention is, if you really wanted to, you could just add a drop or two of pink gel food coloring or red gel food coloring into the batter if you actually really want your cupcakes to look super pink and strawberry-ish. We don't do that, but certainly if that's your preference or if you had a certain decorative need to do that, you could do that. And you would just mix that in at the end when you add the strawberry puree into your batter. These cooked for about 21 minutes and they're perfect. We started testing them at about 18 minutes just to make sure. And we're gonna go ahead now and show you how to make the beautiful strawberry cream cheese frosting that we're gonna use for these cupcakes.
Okay, so now we're gonna make our strawberry cream cheese frosting for our cupcakes. And the first thing that we're going to do is take our cream cheese. Now this has been sitting out at room temperature, as well as our butter. So it's important that when you make your frosting that you want everything at room temperature. So I'm just gonna use a handheld mixer here. And this is just an 8-ounce brick of cream cheese that I'm just gonna put right in our bowl. And I'm going to beat it first with our handheld mixer before I actually add the butter. So let's get this in the bowl. Okay, there we go. And I'm just gonna beat it a little bit. Okay, so now we have our stick of butter. So this is 8 tablespoons or 113 grams or so. I'm gonna throw that right in the bowl and mix it in with our cream cheese. So nice and creamy. Okay, so before I finish the rest of the frosting, I wanted to mention the secret ingredient in our frosting here. So here we have a package of freeze-dried strawberries that we purchased at Trader Joe's. And it's a 1.2 ounce package or 34 grams of strawberries. And they come in dried slices, they're freeze-dried. And so what we did was we put them inside of a food processor, or you can use a blender too if you don't have one, and turned it on high and pulverized it to this nice fine powder. And this will give the frosting a beautiful color and a wonderful taste as well. So we just did the whole package, 34 grams, and we're gonna add that in soon. But before, we're gonna go ahead and add our powdered sugar. So here we have 3 cups of powdered sugar, or 365 grams. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little bit at a time. Okay, I forgot to add the salt. We're just gonna add a tiny bit of salt just to intensify the flavor a little bit. I wanted to add it along with the powdered sugar, but it's gonna go in anyway, it's fine. This is about 1/8 of a teaspoon of just plain table salt. I'm just gonna sprinkle it in. And we have to thin this out a little bit. This is 1 tablespoon of whole milk that I'm gonna go ahead and add. Now you can adjust and add more if you need to, but as you can see, this is really thick. It might even need a little bit more. And then here we have 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I'm gonna blend this up nice and well, and then we're gonna go ahead and add our pulverized strawberries. Okay, now everything is nice and smooth. I think the consistency might be okay, actually. We don't need to add any more milk. And we're gonna go ahead and add all of the strawberry. This is gonna make a beautiful color. I'm just gonna go ahead and add all of it. Okay, so now I'm gonna mix it up. Start off slow so you don't have a strawberry cloud. Look at that beautiful color that we already see. Nice, beautiful pink frosting. Everything is nice and uniform, and then continue mixing it until it's nice and mixed in and looks homogeneous. Okay, time to pipe our frosting onto our cupcakes. So I just have a pastry bag here, and I have a pastry tip. Unfortunately, we misplaced the one that has the larger opening, but this will still work. It'll just take a little bit longer. So what I like to do is I just like to put the pastry bag with the tip here in a glass while I fill it with icing, and it just makes it easy to hold it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and pipe our first one. Let's take a look. Let's see how it looks. Look how pretty the color is. So I'm just gonna go around in a circle, get the edges, and then keep going. I'll do another layer, make it a little bit higher, and then we'll garnish it with some fresh strawberries on top. Okay, so we're all done. We have our beautifully frosted cupcakes. Aren't they gorgeous? Look at the color of the frosting. And there's no dyes, no food coloring, nothing. This is purely from the freeze-dried strawberries. So we're gonna cut into one. Let's take a look at what it looks like on the inside. I'm gonna take the paper off and put it on this little plate, and we're going to check the texture on the inside. So let's take a look here. It feels good to me. Let's see what it looks like on the inside. Nice and cakey. Look at that. It's beautiful, I think.